Heartwarming discovery. Millionaire saves little girl hidden by stepmother's abuse. Life-changing stand for justice. Jake Thompson stood in the middle of a dusty old church, his heart pulsing with a sense of purpose. A self-made millionaire at just 38, he hadn't forgotten his humble beginnings. With every nail he hammered, he could almost hear the whispers of gratitude from the community he loved. This town had shaped him, and now it was time to give back. Yet tonight something felt off. As he wiped his brow, he noticed a small group of children huddled together, their soft whispers contrasting against the creaking wood of a church. "Where do you think she is?" One voice trembled. "Lily wouldn't just leave." The others nodded, worry etching their faces. Tiny hands clasped together, the innocence in their eyes filled Jake with an intense urgency. Lily! The name tugged at his heart. She was the shy girl he often saw on the playground, embodying the sweetness of childhood. But now, she was missing, and as Jake leaned in to listen, he felt dread crawl up his spine. How could they not tell an adult? In a flash, Jake's determination ignited. He couldn't let this go unnoticed. The thought of Lily hidden away, perhaps scared and alone, spurred him into action. He sought out the town's buzz, only to discover a troubling truth. Her stepmother, a woman everyone highly revered, had cloaked her in silence, trading a semblance of respectability for a heart shrouded in cruelty. Jake's chest tightened as he pieced together the layers of deceit intertwined within the community's fabric. He approached the local authorities, his voice steady, but heavy with urgency. "You need to look into Lily's situation," he implored, recounting the whispers he overheard. The officer's eyebrows raised in skepticism. Jake's wealth seemed to weigh him down rather than elevate his concerns. It stung. The irony of being an outsider in the town he fought so hard to protect gnawed at him. "Listen, you don't know her like I do. I know something is wrong. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue." Resilience coursed through him, fueling his resolve to seek the truth. With a fire kindled within, Jake stood tall before the townsfolk gathered in the community center, their eyes like searching lanterns. He revealed Lily's plight, igniting electrifying tension in the air. As his words sank in, he noticed gasps ripple through the crowd. Doubts morphed into horror, and whispers of change began to emerge. Then, just as the weight of despair seemed too heavy to bear, the door swung open. Lily's estranged mother stepped into the room, her eyes wild with determination. Suddenly, the room's atmosphere shifted. Hope flickered. Mingling with uncertainty, could this be a turning point? As Jake watched the mother and child reunite against the backdrop of a community grappling with its own demons, he felt hope intertwine with doubt. Would this moment catalyze real change? Could he truly count on the town, which once viewed him with skepticism, to rise and protect Lily against the impending shadows of the past? With every heartbeat, the question burned brighter, leaving Jake standing at the precipice of a profound transformation. The room simmered with anticipation as Lily's mother, Angela, rushed forward, arms outstretched. A powerful current of emotion surged through the crowd, pulling them into the moment. Jake watched intently as Lily hesitated, her small body trembling, caught between fear and a longing for safety. When her mother knelt, tear-streaked and vulnerable, Jake felt the weight of the world press on him. This was a moment that could shatter the walls built around them, but would it be enough? Lily's gaze darted, taking in her mother and the unfamiliar faces of the townsfolk. Uncertainty filled the air, thickening the silence. Then, like a fragile flower tentatively reaching for the sun, she took a step forward, her small feet moving with a mix of courage and fear. The sight of her mother's tears seemed to bridge the gap that had separated them for too long. With a quavering voice, Angela whispered, "Lily, sweetheart, I'm here. You're safe now." It was a lifeline thrown into a tumultuous sea. Slowly, Lily crossed the distance, her fingers extending, reaching for the only source of warmth she craved. As they embraced, the crowd collectively held its breath, witnessing the fragile thread of hope stitching their hearts together once more. It was a sight that brought tears to many eyes, mothers covering their mouths in stunned disbelief, fathers shaking their heads in disbelief, and children peering around their parents, wide-eyed. But in that moment of beauty, Jake's heart sank. He could see the shadows lurking still. Angela's history weighed heavily on her, the pain of separation evident in her shaky breaths. Would Lily's return shatter any hopes for repair? The whispers began to swell again, this time fueled by fear rather than hope. Will she take her away again? Someone murmured. Doesn't she have a right to Lily? Another voice countered, bursting with righteous anger. Jake felt the shift in the atmosphere. All the energy coursing through the room began to warp into confusion and contention. He spoke up, a steadying voice amidst the chaos. Hold on, everyone. Angela is here. She's trying to undo the wrongs done to her family. Gaze turning towards him, the tension rose sharply, eyes filled with questions and doubt. But can she really change? What guarantees do we have? Came a sharp reply, thick with skepticism. Sometimes the hardest battles are the ones fought within ourselves, Jake responded, knowing he needed to rally not just support for Lily, but compassion for Angela too. Forgiveness and love don't just happen overnight. As faces softened slightly, he seized the moment. We have a choice here. As a community, we either let fear lead us or we stand together to rebuild trust. You all know what Lily stands for: innocence, potential. What if we gave this family a chance? A hush fell over the crowd, compassion battling skepticism. Jake felt the tension stir again, but he wasn't done. Looking around the gathered faces, he added, let us create a safe space for them. Instead of judgment, let us be their strength. Lily's small hands clung tightly to her mother, her wide eyes absorbing the unfolding scene as she sensed the shift around her. Could this community rally together for her? As Jake met each gaze, he held his breath. The battle between hope and doubt was being fought in real time. A moment of connection could transform everything. Would they rise as one, or would fear tear them apart? With every heartbeat, the future remained uncertain, but one thing was clear: something was about to change. The weight of possibility hung in the air, and suddenly, what lay ahead felt both exhilarating and terrifying. And as the silence stretched, the answer began to materialize, promising a reckoning that could reshape their shared lives forever. Would they choose to embrace this moment, or would they retreat into silence once again? Angela squeezed Lily tightly, as if the sheer force of her embrace could erase years of hurt. Jake watched them, heart aching with hope. The murmurs around the room had subsided into uneasy whispers. He needed to harness this growing momentum and turn it into something more. Listen, Jake called out again, his voice firm yet gentle. This is a pivotal moment for all of us. He felt the eyes of the townsfolk upon him, their uncertainty palpable. We have a chance not just to support Lily, but to help Angela heal too. They need us. But skepticism lingered, heavy like the humid air. What if she isn't here to stay? Someone challenged, their words sharper than they intended. What if this is just another chapter of abandonment? Jake felt a burn of frustration but took a deep breath and responded. What if it isn't? What if this time is different? He looked around at the worried faces. We've all made mistakes, we're human. We can't let fear dictate our actions. We should be lifting them up instead of pulling them apart. Slowly, some nods emerged, but doubts remained etched on the faces of the crowd. A few murmurs of agreement started to rise, cutting through the tension. Jake saw a glimmer of connection beginning to spark among them. Lily, still nestled in her mother's embrace, looked up with eyes wide and innocent. Jake's heart soared at her trust in the moment. But would it hold? The crowd was responding to the powerful bond between mother and daughter. It felt like a fragile thread stitched together by the weight of the past. I think we should be stronger together, a woman finally said, her voice carrying a steadiness that echoed through the room. Maybe we could organize a support group, a way to help Angela reintegrate into our community and show her she's not alone.
Yes.
Someone else chimed in, a young father with a worn baseball cap. Let us give her a chance to prove herself. I mean, wouldn't that be better than isolating her? With each suggestion, the room was beginning to shift, moving from fear to potential. Jake felt the air brighten just slightly. Perhaps this was how they could counter the shadows. They'd rally together to protect Lily, while also extending that support to Angela. As ideas flowed, Angela and Lily exchanged glances, the weight of the moment sinking into their hearts. Yesterday felt like a mile away, but now they were filled with something they hadn't been given in so long: hope. I understand. Angela finally spoke, her voice breaking slightly. I know I have a long road ahead. If you will have me, I want to be part of this community. I want to be the mother Lily deserves. With every head that turned towards her, every nod of understanding, a new sense of belonging began to bloom, not just for Angela, but for everyone in that room. Maybe they truly could become a family again. But just as the mood lifted, an uneasy silence surged back in. The door creaked open slowly, and the figure of a tall man stepped inside, his shadow stretching across the room like a storm cloud. Jake's heart raced. Who was this newcomer, and what impact would he have on the fragile hope building in the room? Is this a bad time? The man asked, his deep voice sending a chill through the crowd. In an instant, all eyes shifted, tension cracking the fragile atmosphere.
Who was he, and what did he want?
Jake felt the thrill of anxiety rush through him. This was far from over. The discovery about to unfold held the potential to change everything once again. The tension in the room draped over everyone like a heavy blanket. Eyes narrowed and fists clenched as they scrutinized the stranger. Jake caught a glimpse of fear in Angela's eyes, a flicker that reminded him how raw and fragile they all were right now.
Who are you?
Jake finally asked, stepping forward. His voice held a mix of authority and caution, ready to protect the newfound hope swaying precariously in the air. The man took a step forward, breaking the uncomfortable silence. I'm Alex, he said, his tone steady, but his expression unreadable. I've come to talk to Angela. I know her, and I need to explain. What do you want with her? Jake shot back, his protective instincts flaring. The townsfolk exchanged glances, their hope wavering in the face of this unexpected turmoil. Please, Alex raised a hand, easing into a defensive stance. Just hear me out. He took a breath, as if preparing to unveil something monumental. Angela, I didn't know where you were. But I've heard things that concern Lily. Angela's grip on her daughter tightened. What do you mean? What could you possibly know about my daughter? Enough, Alex replied, his voice dropping to a near whisper. I know about her past, about the dangers that lurked when you left. I've been trying to find a way to protect her. I have resources, connections. I can help. Whispers broke out among the crowd. Jake's mind raced. This stranger was offering something that might seem like hope, but felt dangerously close to manipulation. You think you can just walk in here and fix everything? This isn't some charity case. Listen, I understand the distrust, Alex replied, a flicker of frustration on his face. But I'm not here to hurt anyone. I did things I regret and I want to make them right. He turned his gaze back to Angela. You need to understand the risks Lily's been facing. They haven't ended, and you need help navigating them. Angela's face paled. She glanced down at Lily, who was still holding her tightly.
What are you talking about?
Her voice trembled as dread slowly crept in. Alex hesitated, looking conflicted. I can't say much here, for her safety. But there are people who want to exploit her, people tied to your past. That brought an eerie stillness to the room. The townsfolk who had been siding with Angela now chilled, uncertainty creeping back in. Jake felt a swell of protectiveness rise within him. And you think you can save her? Just like that? I have resources, Alex insisted. I can offer protection, but we have to act fast. No one spoke for a long moment, the weight of his words heavy in the air. Lily looked up at her mother, confusion in her big, innocent eyes. Angela's heart twisted painfully, She needed to keep her daughter safe, but at what cost? I don't even know you, she finally said, voice shaking. Why should I trust you? Alex opened his mouth, then closed it, glancing toward the door before speaking. I know you've been through a lot, Angela. But the truth is, trust is built through actions, not words. And we're running out of time. Jake felt the tension tighten in the room, the stakes rising higher with every moment they lingered in indecision. Would they take a chance on the unknown and unite against a lurking danger, or would they buckle under fear and isolate Angela once again? As more whispers filled the air, a gnawing question loomed. If the threats were real, what would it take for them to unite for Lilia's safety? Whatever came next, Jake knew that things were about to get even more complicated, and he could barely hold on to the fragile thread of hope that they had begun to weave. Jake could feel the silence closing in like a fist. He could see the doubts shadowing the faces around him, the uncertainty stitching worry lines into Angela's brow. The urgent need to protect Lily collided with the growing speculation about Alex and the claims he made. It was a flurry of emotions that left everyone feeling raw and exposed. Listen, we don't know who you are or what you want, Jake asserted, trying to keep his voice steady even as it trembled with anxiety. If you really care about Lily, tell us what you know. No more secrets. Angela shifted, still holding Lily close, the girl wiggling against her mother's grip, trying to make sense of the chaos swirling around them.
Mommy, who is he?
Lily asked, her bright eyes darting between the adults, searching for answers amidst the confusion. Angela crouched slightly, bringing her face closer to her daughter's sweetheart. It's complicated. Just stay close, okay? Alex seemed to soften at the sight, stepping back slightly. I want to explain, but we need privacy. There are ears everywhere. What I'm about to say could put you all in danger. It's fine. A voice barked from the crowd. It was one of the town's oldest residents, Mr. Fletcher, his weathered face twisted with concern. We all deserve to know what's going on. If there are threats, we have a right to hear them. Stay out of this, Fletcher. Jake snapped, irritated by the old man's interjection. You've no idea what you're talking about. But Angela's eyes flitted to Alex, searching for reassurance. What kind of danger? You speak like Lily's life is in jeopardy. Shouldn't that be enough for us to hear him out? Jake's heart raced. The reality of the situation hit him like a punch. He turned, lashes of hope flickering in his chest, but shadowed by the dark heaviness of dread. Angela, think. Before he could finish, Angela stood straight, holding out her hand, palm forward.
No.
If there's a possibility to protect my daughter, then we need to listen. I can't lose her again. Alex took a deep breath, the tension in the air prickling with anticipation. A week ago, Lily's father reemerged. He's connected to people who have been searching for both of you for a long time. Angela's breath hitched, her world tilting dangerously. My father?
No.
He wouldn't he? Yes, Alex confirmed gravely. He thinks he can exploit her gifts. You need to act fast because he has a plan, and the moment he moves, they will come for both of you. The news swept through the crowd, gasps colliding with whispers. Jake's hands clenched into fists, algo steel framing his resolve. You've got to be kidding. And you expect us to just believe you, Alex? People like him, they're relentless, Alex replied, his voice firm yet pleading. I don't want you to believe me. I want you to protect your daughter. Lily, still held tightly in her mother's arms, looked between the faces, sensing the weighty struggle unfolding. Mommy, is Daddy coming? Angela's heart shattered a bit more at her daughter's innocent question. The grip of fear around her ribs felt suffocating, twisting. Lily, I need you to be brave, she began. Brave? You're asking a child to be brave in the face of whatever this is. Jake interjected, the urgency flaring in him now. We can't let this happen. Angela, we have to get you and Lily out of this town. Out of where? Alex interrupted sharply, eyes narrowing. Running 1T fix this. It will only make them pursue you more aggressively. The clock was ticking, the urgency pulsating in the air. The room was still alive with conflicting feelings: fear, trust, protection. Jake felt torn between his instincts to shield Angela and Lily and the pressing truth in Alex's words. With every second that passed, decisions hung in the air, laden with consequence and vulnerability. Angela wrestled with her choices, caught between the past and the present, her heart clawing to keep her daughter safe. Little did they know, a shadow loomed beyond the door that could shatter their fragile resolve. "What happens if we don't do anything?" Angela whispered, voice barely audible, as dread took root in her heart. Before Alex could respond, the door swung open, and a figure stepped into the room, draped in darkness, bringing with them questions that could change everything once again. The figure in the doorway was tall, their face obscured by the low light casting long, menacing shadows. Gasps rippled through the crowd, nerves taut with apprehension. Jake instinctively placed himself in front of Angela and Lily, his protective instincts surging to the forefront. "Who are you?" he demanded, his voice strong despite the quivering in his stomach. The figure stepped into the light, revealing sharp features and piercing blue eyes that seemed to cut through the tension in the room. "I'm here for Lily," they said, the voice low and smooth, almost hypnotic.
Who sent you?
Alex challenged, shifting his stance defensively. "You're not welcome here." The stranger raised an eyebrow, a smirk playing at their lips. "I have no intention of causing trouble. I'm only delivering a message." Their gaze flickered to Lily, who had fallen silent, eyes wide with uncertainty. Angela's grip on her daughter tightened as fear flooded her veins. "What message?" she asked, her voice trembling. "The truth about her father is far more complicated than you think," the stranger replied, their tone laced with authority. "He doesn't just want to exploit her gifts. He wants to bring her home."
No,
Angela cried, shaking her head vigorously. "We can't let that happen. He's dangerous." The crowd began to murmur, a wave of disbelief sweeping over them. Jake felt the weight of their confusion, a palpable shift in the air that made him all the more uneasy. "If he's dangerous, then why are you here?" he pressed, urgency flooding his words. "What do you know about him?" The stranger took a step closer, the intensity in their gaze sharpening. "I know everything. I worked with him once before he became who he is now. He believes Lily is the key to his redemption." "Redemption?" Jake echoed, his brows furrowing. "After everything he has done? He doesn't deserve one chance, let alone 100. "Your anger is misplaced," the stranger countered evenly, glancing briefly at Alex before returning their focus to Angela. "But anger can lead to decisions made in haste. This is about more than just your family, Angela. It involves many lives." Angry gasps erupted from the crowd, but Jake stood firm, planting his feet like roots in defiance. "What do you want from us?" he shouted. "You don't seem like you have our best interests at heart." "I want to help you," the stranger said, pausing to let their words sink in. "You have to choose wisely. Running will only bring danger closer." The finality in their voice hung thick in the air. Lily, squeezed between her mother and the wall of tension, tugged gently at Angela's sleeve. "Mommy, who is that? Are they dangerous?" Her innocent question cut through the chaos, drawing every eye back to her. Angela knelt beside her daughter, trying to shield her from the unease. "It's okay, sweetie. I won't let anyone hurt you." But her words felt empty, an attempt to stem the tide of fear rising within her heart. "Smart move," the stranger said softly, looking at Lily with an unreadable expression. "But the truth is, they'll come for you whether you resist or not. The sooner you face it, the better chance you'll have." There was a heavy silence, the only sound being the rapid thumping of Jake's heart as he fought feelings of helplessness. They were caught in a storm, unsure of which way to turn as dark clouds loomed overhead. "What are we supposed to do?" he finally asked, his voice thick with desperation. Just as the stranger opened their mouth to answer, another figure emerged from the shadows outside, a familiar face catching the eye of Angela. With her breath catching in her throat, disbelief replaced anger. "Angela!" the newcomer shouted, rushing forward with a look of urgency that pulled everyone's attention. "You need to listen to me. They're coming for you." In that split second, hope and dread collided, leaving everyone reeling. What did this mean? And as eyes turned from the stranger back to the door, one thought echoed in the minds of everyone present. What would happen next? The newcomer, a familiar face wrapped in a cloak of urgency, stepped confidently into the tension hanging thick in the air. It was Sarah, Angela's sister, and her expression was a blend of worry and determination. Jake could see the raw fear in the crowd shift slightly at her arrival, like a flicker of light piercing through the darkness. "Angela, we need to get away from here," Sarah urged, her voice rising over the murmurs of the crowd. She scanned the room, eyes darting from the stranger to Lily and back again. "I saw him. He's not far behind me. We don't have much time." Who's coming?" Angela pressed, her heart racing. She had waited too long for the past to catch up with them, and now it felt like it was swarming closer than ever. "The man, your husband," Sarah confessed, her voice softening as she sought to reassure. "He's looking for Lily, and he's not alone. There are others who'll help him. People who will do everything to take her away from you." The stranger's eyes flickered with concern. "This isn't just about protection, Angela," they added, their smooth tone now tinged with urgency. "You don't understand the full picture yet. I can help you both." Lily clutched at her mother's leg, anchoring herself to the one person she felt safe with. "Mommy?" she whispered, her small voice trembling. "I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to see him." Angela's heart broke as she looked down at her daughter. In that moment, she knew she had to make a choice. Protect them both or risk losing everything. "We're not going anywhere with him," she vowed, her voice steely, though her insides churned with fear. Jake, sensing the momentum shifting, stepped beside Angela. "We stick together. No matter what." He locked eyes with Sarah, whose face was shadowed with doubt but held a fierce determination. "What do we need to do?" "There's a safe house," Sarah said, hastily lowering her voice as if the walls might eavesdrop. "It's a place where we can regroup, plan. It's not far, but we need to move now." The stranger tilted their head, evaluating the sudden tension. "If you leave here, you will be running. That will only encourage the danger to follow. But if we stay?" Jake asked, his voice urgent. "Staying is not an option with him out there." Angela felt the weight of her options crushing her, a suffocating pressure that whispered of peril. "We can't let him take her." "I want to let him take her," she declared fiercely, her protective instincts flooding her heart. With that, Sarah nodded, her face set with determination. "Let us go. All of us." As the group began to move, Jake kept close to Angela and Lily, the very act of their shared escape reviving a spark of hope within him. Just as they reached the door, the slightest shift in the atmosphere pricked at Jake's senses. He could feel a chill creeping back into the room. The faint echo of footsteps in the distance nudged his instincts, demanding immediate action.
"Move. Now."
he barked, urging everyone through the door and into the night. They fled into the darkness, hearts pounding in unison as shadows seemed to swirl around them, transforming the mundane world into an eerie tapestry of uncertainty. With every step, they pushed closer toward a refuge, yet the looming threat of the past hung above them like a dark cloud. "God, please let us find safety," Angela whispered under her breath, a silent plea resolving into determination as she ran. And as they hurried away, one thought pressed against all their minds. Who else might be hunting them? In the distance, the sound of a car engine roared to life, sending a shiver down Angela's spine. What lay ahead might just be the scariest chapter yet. The night air was thick with the scent of rain, clinging to Angela's skin as she pressed onward. Every shadow felt alive with menace. Each rustle in the trees made her heart jump. They darted through narrow streets, under the watchful eyes of flickering streetlights that seemed too dim to grant them comfort. "Keep your head down," Jake instructed, urging Lily to snuggle closer to her mother. Angela glanced down at her daughter, whose wide eyes reflected fear. It tore at Angela's heart. She leaned down, brushing a stray hair from Lily's forehead. "We're going to be okay, sweetheart. I promise," she whispered, needing to believe it herself. Sarah led the way, her determined footsteps echoing against the asphalt.
Just a few more blocks.
She called out, glancing back as if expecting trouble to emerge at any moment. But with every second ticking by, Angela's worry only deepened. How close was he? What kind of man hunted a mother and her child? Suddenly, the roar of the engine they had heard before grew louder. Angela whipped her head around, her pulse quickening. The car was moving fast, headlights cutting through the darkness like daggers. "We need to hurry," she shouted, her voice barely a gasp against the panicking air. She picked up her pace, but the street felt endless. Each beat of her heart echoed the thrill of fear. Each footfall brought the threat closer to them. Was this what it felt like? Running for your life? Over there. Sarah pointed toward a modest building that stood defiantly at the end of the street. Its windows glimmered softly in the night, a beacon of safety in an otherwise threatening world. They hurried toward it, but the sound of the car drew nearer, its engine a growl that shook Angela's very bones. "Lily, hold tight." Angela squeezed her daughter's small hand tightly. They dashed across the street, fear morphing the world around them into a blurred rush of colors. And though their pace quickened, something in the air held them back, a predatory tension that hung like a dark shroud. Just as they reached the door, the unmistakable sound of tires screeching filled the night. Angela's stomach plummeted.
"Jake,"
she gasped, panic welling up as she spun around. The headlights flooded the street, illuminating the approaching vehicle in its full menacing glory. Inside.
"Now."
Jake's voice echoed through the chaos, pushing them through the door just as it swung open. They all stumbled into the dimly lit foyer, Jake standing firm, eyes scanning the street. The room was a small, cluttered space filled with forgotten furniture and the echoes of lives once shared. It felt out of place, almost peaceful, yet Angela felt an urgent need to move again. "What are we doing here?" she asked, watching Jake's intense focus as he guarded the door.
"We need to plan."
"We have to figure out our next move," he said, glancing back at the sisters, who were huddled near each other.
"Plan?"
"There's no time for a plan," Sarah cried, panic creeping into her tone. "We need to go. He could follow us here." The crashing sounds outside only intensified, rattling Angela's resolve. "Then we make a stand," Jake said, stepping closer. "Whatever it takes, we fight for Lily. We won't let him take her." In that moment, Angela felt something shift inside her, a flicker of defiance igniting her fear into something potent. "He won't take her," she whispered, fire in her voice. The fear was still there, but now it coalesced into determination. As they settled in, the weight of breaths held and uncertainty hung thickly in the air. The real question loomed as the car screeched to a stop. Who would be walking through that door next? The door creaked ominously as it swung open, revealing a shadowy figure silhouetted against the flood of light pouring in from outside. Everyone froze, their hearts pounding in rhythm with the drumming of rain against the pavement. Angela gripped Lily tighter, her breath hitching in her throat. Jake had positioned himself protectively in front of Sarah and Lily, the tension in his muscles palpable. "Who's there?" he demanded, his voice low and commanding yet trembling with raw urgency. A man stepped into the foyer, his features barely visible in the dimness. Angela felt dread wash over her. Was this the man they were running from? Every instinct told her to flee. But where could they go now?
I'm
an old friend of the owner," the figure said hesitantly, his voice strained. The light flickered as the figure shifted, illuminating a worn face, weary yet kind. "I was just passing through. Please, I mean no harm." Angela's heart raced, caught between fear and the desperate hope that maybe this stranger could help them. We need help," she whispered, glancing back at Jake for his approval. "Can you help us?" The man nodded slowly, his eyes scanning the room then settling on Lily's frightened face. "You're safe here for now. But we need to move quickly. The owner left me to watch this place, and I wouldn't want a friend to find you," he said, nodding toward the door, still ajar with danger lurking outside. Jake evaluated the man with narrowed eyes, instincts on high alert. "What's your name?" he asked, narrowing the distance between them just enough to protect Angela and Lily. Mark, he replied, his hands raised slightly as if to communicate trust. I know why you're hiding. Just please trust me, and I'll get you somewhere safe. Angela exchanged glances with Jake, who still hesitated. We can't just let anyone in, Jake stated firmly. You could be leading us into a trap. I'm not, Mark insisted, frustration threading his voice. I've seen the man you're running from. He's dangerous, but he's not going to find you here. You don't have time to waste arguing.
Please.
Angela could see the fear crystallizing in Lily's eyes, her small body shaking against her. It steeled Angela's resolve. We'll take that risk. We have to, she said determinedly, pushing past Jake's uncertainty. For Lily. Mark stepped further inside, glancing over his shoulder as if he expected an ambush. Follow me quietly, he urged, leading them deeper into the cluttered space. Angela felt her heart flutter as they moved, the flicker of hope mixing with dread as they silently traversed through darkened rooms. They reached the back door, a thick wooden slab that appeared more secure than the entrance they had just fled. Angela felt a rush of relief as Mark opened it, revealing a narrow alley bounded by brick walls. The cold air rushed in, reminding her of the danger that lingered closely behind them. Suddenly, the tension outside heightened. A frantic sound echoed in the distance. We don't have much time. We need to go now, Mark urged, his voice urgent. Angela placed a calming hand on Lily's shoulder. Stay close to me, honey. Remember the story we talked about? We're going to find our way to safety, she whispered, willing the warmth of her words to chase away Lily's fear. As they stepped into the alley, not knowing what awaited them outside, a piercing scream shattered the night, sending chills down her spine. It wasn't just any scream. It was familiar. A sense of foreboding gripped her heart. Whatever came next would change everything. Who was in trouble? And could they really escape this nightmare once and for all? Angela's heart raced as she turned to Jake, his expression a mask of determination mixed with raw fear. We can't wait. We need to go, he urged urgently, glancing over his shoulder as if danger itself lingered just behind them. Lily's sweetheart, stay right by my side. No matter what, Angela called, her voice a mixture of steadiness and anxiety as she clutched her daughter's small hand tightly. They moved down the alley swiftly but cautiously, every clatter echoing against the brick walls like the beats of a racing heart. As they pressed further toward the alley's end, a muffled cry invaded their ears, a voice Angela knew all too well. It called out again, desperation laced in every syllable.
Angela, help me.
Sarah, Angela gasped, coming to a sudden halt. Fear pooled in her stomach as she turned back, her sister's voice sparking familiarity, ignited with urgency.
No.
We can't leave her. Angela, we don't have time, Jake insisted, pulling at her arm. If we go back there, we might endanger Lily. Another pained scream pierced through the heavy air, and Angela felt the walls of her world crumbling. I can't just leave her. She's my sister. She needs us. Before Jake could protest further, Mark stepped forward, eyes darting around. I know a way to help both of them. There's a hidden exit we can use. Angela felt the weight of indecision press against her. But Sarah's cries, filled with anguish, grounded her resolve. We have to go. I cannot abandon her. Without waiting for a response, Angela turned back toward the alley's entrance, her heart pounding in her chest. Stay close, Lily, she shouted, urgency spilling into her voice. The world outside was still and dark, shadows dancing as they rounded the corner. Blocks away, she could see flashes of yellow lights, searching lights that roamed suspiciously through the streets. Something stirred within her, a mix of fear and fierce determination that felt both terrifying and empowering. Angela, Sarah's voice cried out again, more distinct this time, spiraling through the night. Help! At that moment, fueled by an overwhelming mix of love and resolve, Angela knew the truth. They couldn't abandon Sarah to whatever threat lurked in the shadows. Cover the entrances, Mark commanded, his voice steady as he positioned himself. Jake nodded, his protective posture setting into place as he scanned their surroundings. "Hold on, Sarah," Angela shouted again as she charged forward. "I'm coming." Lily clung tightly to her hand, the little girl's trust igniting a flame of courage deep inside her. As they approached the doorway, Angela felt a surge of adrenaline. The moment they reached the entrance, she flung the door wide open, frantic breaths filling the air. "Sarah!" she yelled. "Where are you?" A figure dashed toward her, shadows ripping away as clearer outlines emerged. It was hard to decipher who was friend or foe in the flickering light, but as the panic surged, so did clarity. "Angela, I'm here." Sarah's voice rang through the chaos, relief flooding Angela's heart. With Lily shielded close to her side, Angela rushed forward, finding her sister in the absence of light. A shadow loomed nearby, the menacing figure hovered, too close for comfort.
Get back.
Jake roared, stepping forward to shut down the threat. The man smirked, confidence surging. "And here I thought you all would be running away. This is much better." Before Angela could grasp the situation, it all erupted into a flurry of chaos. Mark lunged at the man, the two struggling, energy crackling as they wrestled to gain the upper hand amidst the chaos. "Run, Angela!" Sarah shouted, her eyes wide with fear. "Take Lily."
Go.
Pain shot through Angela's heart as doubt clawed at her, but fear of what might happen if they didn't act shattered her hesitation. "I want to leave you," she cried out, anguish flooding her voice. The battle continued, the sound of struggles drowning the night. Jake pushed towards Angela, eyes full of intensity as he urged her forward. "We have to go now." With that, Angela turned on her heels, clutching tightly to Lily. "This way." Together they dashed down another alley, the shadows receding behind them like foreboding specters. As they rounded a corner, the grip of hope intertwined with action propelled them forward. They could hear the chaos behind them, the sounds of struggle echoing, fury crashing like a wave crashing ashore. "Mommy, I'm scared," Lily whispered, the innocence of her voice tugging sharply at Angela's heart. "I know, baby. But we're brave, remember? Just a little bit further, and we'll be safe," she assured, brushing away the tears that threatened to tumble. Just as they emerged at the alley's end, beyond them lay a network of pathways torn from chaos and darkness. "We can find shelter." Mark's shout broke through the pounding of Angela's heart. "Follow me." Trust propelled her forward, feet pounding against the pavement, every heartbeat a reminder of the precious life she held close. Together they raced toward a place that could offer safety away from the danger hunting them through the night. As they burst into the safety of light streaming from a distant building, Angela felt a wave of relief wash over her. Yet beyond that sweet relief, they all knew one thing remained clear: this fight was far from over. But as long as they stood together, they would face whatever came next with a determination fueled by love that could conquer even the darkest of threats. And as the night began to stretch into dawn, Angela clasped her daughter tightly, letting the cravings of freedom catapult them into the arms of justice and safety. "Let us go," Jake whispered, beginning the journey toward hope. It was still dark ahead, but together they would light the way. Hope wasn't just around the corner. It was building layer by layer, characters by characters through every step, fueled by love, family, and the unyielding need to protect those they cherish most. And they pressed on, under the brightening sky that promised a new day. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Hit that like button now to feed the algorithm. And comment below your thoughts and feelings about this intense ending. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this heartwarming journey.